Hello, my fellow Americans. I am recording this after a very tragic week for our country. I want to talk about what happened in Dallas. And I'm going to try to be as honest, as polite, as apolitical, and as thoughtful as I can be. Last night I was watching cable news, and just around the 9 o'clock hour, they were going to hand it off to the next program. But right before they did that, I was watching the footage of what was happening in Dallas. And it was a peaceful protest. And then suddenly, without warning, everybody started running, helter-skelter. The protest march was over in a second. It was done. That street cleared faster than anything I've ever seen. There was, 2, 3, 4, 500 people on the street. 5 seconds later, there was nobody on the street. And I thought to myself, whoa, what just happened? And of course I thought, well, that has to be gunfire. Nobody's going to run like that unless there was gunfire. And as the cameras continued to roll, there was footage of a camera person running toward where apparently there were gunshots. And when you're on live TV, you never know what you're going to get in terms of video or audio. And as I was watching, all of a sudden I saw not one, not two, but 3 police officers down, laying flat on the ground. And I thought to myself, oh my God, somebody shot at a cop, or several of them. And they turned away. They were saying, we're not going to show this because it was just too graphic or disturbing. And about a minute or so later, maybe a couple minutes later, they went back to that same place. And the cops that were lying on the ground were no longer there. And I had an immediate sigh of relief. I said, okay, they must have just been playing dead in order to make whoever was shooting at them think that they were dead. And so I felt a little bit better that nobody was dead or killed or hurt or anything. Obviously, that was not the case. More than likely what happened was, in the time that they turned away the camera from that place till the time that they went back to it, those officers were taken up off the ground and treated or taken away to the hospital or whatever. As time went on, obviously we all found out the truth, that I think it was 11 officers had been shot, 3 were dead, and then it increased to 4, and then the final tally was 5. 5 officers shot, 11 officers shot, 5 dead. All on live television. You don't need Hollywood. You don't need a movie. You don't need reality TV. You don't need any of that anymore. Live TV now seems to have more drama, more unbelievable things happening in this day and age than anything Hollywood can ever dream up. And that is a really, 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 really sad statement. Now, I want to turn to an analysis of the situation. over the last 3 years, we have seen several instances of police officers killing black people. Sometimes it's justified, sometimes it's not. Those of us who are not there do not know the facts. We shall not make any judgment. We shall not make any kind of statements until the facts are borne out. That's the way it should be. That's the way we should act. We should let the justice system work its way through. Granted, there are a lot of people who do not believe in the justice system. There's a lot of people who don't believe that there is no justice in the justice system. That's understandable. But to protest and lash out and whatever before the facts are known is just, it doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. Once the facts are known, then you can say, okay, either the facts were misconstrued and there's a bias in the system, or you don't agree with it and you protest anyway. I don't know. But people should really just take a step back and wait until the facts are known before they react to some of these situations. I will also say this. There have been many situations recently where cell phone video footage has shown pretty clearly that the officer who shot the person was guilty. But again, sometimes the whole footage isn't shown and the whole story isn't known. That being said, let me say this. Or let me ask this question. Why is this happening? Why is there so much violence in our society? And I'm not just talking about white officers killing black people. I'm not just talking about radical Muslims killing non-radical Muslims. I'm not just talking about, whatever. Black on black crime, whatever. All of it. I'm talking about all of it. Why is there so much violence? And there are some people who will say, well, there's a lot of violence because there's just too many guns. We have to restrict gun ownership. Or we have to at least have background checks or something like that. But before I get to that, let me just ask this question. The question that needs to be asked first and foremost is this. Why are there so many people in America that want to kill other Americans? That is the first and the most important question that needs to be analyzed, asked, and investigated. It doesn't matter if the person who wants to kill somebody else wants to use a gun or a bomb or a pressure cooker or a pencil or a knife or a rock or a slingshot. That does not matter. Well, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but what matters more is the ultimate root cause of the problem. And the root cause is there are an enormous amount of people relative to the past in this country that want to kill their fellow Americans. And the question is why? Put guns away, put the gun argument away for a second and just ponder that question. Why is there so much tension, antagonism, hate in this country toward other Americans? Where is it coming from? I will offer a couple of insights, or at least opinions, on at least in terms of what's happening with black versus white, or black people versus officers. On the one hand, you can say that there are some officers out there who are racist and target black people and treat black people unfairly compared to their white neighbors. Then there's another argument that says, okay, well, why are so many black people being targeted? It's because more black people are committing crimes than white people. There's part of that. There's profiling, of course, like I said before. There are a lot more black people as a share of their population in prison than white people as a share of their population. And that's a fact. That's a fact. I don't have the numbers, but that's a fact. And so the question is, why are so many black people, mostly men, mostly young men, committing so many crimes? Well, first and foremost, obviously, it's because they just don't have enough resources to sustain their lives. They don't have any money. They don't have a house. They don't have a job. They don't have a car, so they can't get a job. They don't have any skills, so they can't get a job. All of these things. There's another argument that says, well, why are black people growing up in such terrible situations? Well, part of it is because a lot of black men have sex with women and either marry them and leave, or never marry them at all and leave. Why are there so many broken homes? Why are there so many black children? I think 60% or 70% of all black children these days are born out of wedlock. That's an insane number. Disgusting. Unbelievable. For the whole population, it's 40%. White, black, Asian, African, Hispanic. For the whole entire population of America, 40% of all children are born out of wedlock. And we sit here and say, what the hell is wrong with our country? What's going on? And yet, we fail to realize the root cause. Granted, there is some bias, there is some racism in policymaking. No question. But why do so many black men have sexual relations with women, more than likely ending up having a child, and leave? Why is that? I don't understand. I simply do not understand. Somebody has got to explain this to me. Why is it that a white man will have sex with a woman and either, I don't know, use a condom or marry her, or not marry her but help with the child or whatever? But a black man, he'll have sex with a woman, and whether or not she has a child, he'll just walk away. There are some good black men out there. There are some good black fathers out there. There are some good black people out there that do the right thing. But it seems like this is a big, huge problem in the black community as opposed to any other race. And I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And obviously, when you are a child growing up in a broken family or a one-parent household, primarily a woman raising the kids with no father figure, there is a greater chance that you're going to end up on the wrong side of the law at some point in time in your life. It's a fact. Again, I don't have the statistics. I'm not here to rail on statistics. It's just a fact. So I ask this. First, why are there so many black men that have issues with parenting, sexual relations, romantic relations, whatever? Second, why are there so many black men and women who have such a tough time getting a job? Why are there so many black people who don't have skills? Why are there so many black people hanging out in the ghettos and the streets with they barely have enough skills to roll up a doobie or learn how to shoot a gun? And of course, along with that, there's a lot of black people who say that education is it's a white thing, and if you get educated, you're turning your back on your black race. There's part of that too. Kudos to all those black people out there who go after an education and say screw you to all the people who say education is only a white thing. I give you credit because you are not only doing what you should be doing, but you're also taking an incredible amount of courage to go against the people in your own community. So I encourage all black people, if they have a chance, if they have the opportunity, to study and get an education. I know this is turning into kind of a ramble, but all of this stuff, all of this factors into what happened in Dallas. Because the problem is, from the standpoint of the black community, the police they're an occupying force, and they treat black people poorly. And that may be partly true. It is partly true, but it's not totally true. There are a lot of officers out there who treat people right. There are some bad apples. There are a lot of good officers and a few bad apples. There are a lot of good Christians and a few bad apples. There are a lot of good black people and a few bad apples. There are a lot of good Muslims, but a few bad apples. There are a lot of good Hispanics, but a few bad apples. It's true in every community, in every group of people. That being said, from the police point of view, they're saying, well, on the one hand, we're just trying to protect society from the bad guys. On the other hand, we're sitting here saying, why do we have to do this every single day? Why is it that in certain communities, in certain parts of the country, primarily in the inner city, why do we have to continue to go out and patrol the streets and with our hands on our guns, ready to shoot at a moment's notice because there are so many bad people out there? Why can't things just get better? If there was less crime, or no crime at all, but let's not go there because there's no such thing as a perfect world, but if there was less crime being committed, there would be less interactions and altercations between black people and white police officers, or even black police officers. But those crimes are being committed because there is so much lack of opportunity within the black community for advancement, career-wise, and what have you. So then we go back again. Why is there such a lack of opportunity for black people? Is it because companies are racist, or is it because the black people don't have skills? Or a combination of both? I think it's probably a combination of both. Now, it's pretty hard to get a company or a CEO or a hiring manager to say, you can't be racist anymore. You can't do that. If they're racist, they're going to be racist. That's all there is to it. Most hiring managers are not, especially this day and age. But some are. But it's a lot easier. Well, I don't know about easier, but it seems like it would be a lot easier to improve the education system and the skill building system. And there is a difference. There is a massive difference between education and skill building. Massive. I know this firsthand because I've been dealing with this myself. I have a good education, but a lot of my skills are they're not in demand anymore. Not at least around here. So I have to build new ones. How do I do that? Well, I find ways. I either go through the state to get a little bit of help, or I go online and I do some free education online, or I read books and I learn things on my own. But there are an enormous amount of black people out there who either don't have a computer so they can't get online to get a free education, or obviously they don't have a job so they can't pay off a loan to get an education, and what have you. So they're stuck. They have these menial skills at the most, or they have no skills at all. So they wander the streets, doing drugs, drinking, committing crime, gangbanging, robbing, doing whatever. And then the cops come after them because they're committing crimes. And they're committing crimes at a much higher rate than white people, or quite honestly any other race. And they wonder why there are so many altercations between cops and black people. It's a very, 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 very difficult situation with a lot of moving parts, a lot of factors, a lot of issues, a lot of things that need to be resolved from both the sides of the cops and the sides of the black people and whoever else is being marginalized in American society. What we really need in this country is a town hall meeting. I saw on a cable news channel a few nights ago a town hall meeting. It was a panel of Muslims, military people, Democrats, and Republicans getting together and trying to figure out why there is so much, why terrorism, Islamic terrorism, has become such a problem in this country. There were a lot of opinions, good insights. A lot of things were said. And you know what? That doesn't happen. Those insights don't come. Those solutions don't come unless people sit down, get together, and talk to each other and listen to each other about their viewpoints, their concerns, and their insights, and their ideas, and their possible solutions. That's what we need in this country. Where is the president? Why isn't he calling for a town hall meeting, or at least a panel meeting between the cops, black people, Black Lives Matter, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Native American people, whatever the group is? Where is he? Why is he not calling a task force together to figure this crap out? Now, notice this whole discussion I've had so far, at least I would hope you would think, is quite intuitive, and I've brought a lot of things to light. And I have barely even mentioned guns. My fellow Americans, guns are not the problem. Guns are a means to an end. Guns are the midpoint between the person who has a real problem with society and they've gone deranged, and their end goal, which is to harm other people. So point A is the person with a problem that they want to resolve. Point C is their end goal, harming somebody or killing somebody. Point B is the means to an end. Sometimes it's a knife. Sometimes it's a bomb. Sometimes it's a pressure cooker bomb. Sometimes it's a sharp object of whatever. And yes, sometimes, and quite honestly, many times, it's a gun. But point B, the weapon used to carry out their goal, which is point C, is part of the problem, but is not the main part of the problem. The main part of the problem is point A. And point A is, why is that person so upset about what's happening in society to him, to his people, to his community? Why is that person so upset that he or she will risk his or her life to bring harm or death to somebody else? Why? Why is there so much angst and hurt and violence and hatred and all of that in this country? Why? That is the question we need to answer. Whether it's a black man killing a bunch of white police officers, radical Muslim terrorists killing a bunch of Americans, homegrown terrorists blowing up a federal building in Oklahoma City, black people killing other black people in Chicago. Whatever the case may be, why is there so much violence? Why is there so much hatred? Why is there so much ill will to our neighbors? I do not have the answer to that question, but I have expounded on some of the possible reasons. My fellow Americans, we need to come together. And we need to do it fast. What we saw in Dallas last night may only be a prelude to what's to come. Several months ago, I predicted that there was going to be violence in the political season. Before it even happened. Before there was any violence at all at any Trump rallies. I predicted it. Because I could see it. I could feel it. I could hear it. I could smell it. I could taste it. I just knew it was coming. And 2 weeks after I made that prediction, it happened. We started seeing violence at Trump rallies. And then I put out another prediction. I said, Cleveland, Republican National Convention, is going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be bloodshed. And there's going to be fatalities. I said that 4 months ago. And recently I read an article that said that 20,000 protesters have filed either permits or whatever to come and protest in Cleveland from July 18th to July 21st. A little more than a week away. When I read that article, I said, my God, my God, my God, have mercy on our country. Because this is going to be hell. While I was watching the Cleveland Cavaliers celebrate their NBA championship, and then the next day when I think they said 1 million people came out to celebrate. It was a sea of humanity, black, white, Asian, Indian, African American, whatever. Every single race, every single, kind of person was out there celebrating. And it was peaceful because they were happy, because they were celebrating something that was good. And I sat there and I looked at that sea of people and I thought to myself, Cleveland, enjoy this now. Because in a couple weeks, your city is going to be set on fire. And I hope I'm wrong. And not only that, I will also say this, that I hope that, and don't take this the wrong way, but I really, really hope that what happened in Dallas took at least some of the pressure out of the pressure cooker that had been building. And I hope that those who are planning to go to Cleveland to protest will take a step back and be peaceful. Say your piece. You have that right. That's your First Amendment right. That's the Constitution. Which, unfortunately, there are a growing number of people who say we should just do away with the Constitution. That's a whole nother story. But it is your constitutional right to protest. But I beg you to do it peacefully. Especially in light of what has happened in Dallas. Watching what happened in Dallas, seeing the aftermath, broke my heart. And when I predicted that there was going to be violence in the political season a few months ago, I also predicted that we are on the verge of a new American Civil War. But at that time, I thought that the Civil War was going to be between the liberals and the conservatives. A day after Dallas, there was at least one paper, I don't know what paper it was, but their headline was Civil War. I saw it coming. I guess I just didn't see it coming from where I thought it was going to come from. One other thing I wanted to say was that right before the Dallas shooting, there was live footage. I was watching this live, and people were saying, a bunch of black people were lined up, and they were clapping, and it was almost like some kind of a, pep dance before going onto a football field to play a football game. They were jumping and hollering and dancing and clapping, and the slogan was something like, "You can't stop the revolution. The revolution is here. The revolution is here. You can't stop the revolution." And about a half hour after that, 5 cops were dead. 7 more wounded. And worse, there were many, many people out on social media the next day praising this guy who murdered 5 cops. I have absolutely no words for that. No words. It's a very sad time in America right now. And I think what we all need to do is just show love to our neighbors, show love to ourselves, show love for God, ask the Lord to heal us and keep a cool, calm temper. And we need to get together and talk about this and figure out a way forward. Because if we don't talk to each other, I have a very, very strong feeling that America as a country will cease to exist in a matter of years, if not sooner. That's the truth. That's the reality. We are so divided right now. It's just beyond belief. And it breaks my heart. It really, really does. I'll just end this by singing a song that I'm sure you're all aware of. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, thee are we. Let us sing with each other in peace and harmony. Let there be peace on earth. Let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I know I messed up the words there, but I don't have the words in front of me, and I forgot them. I'm sorry. But I hope you take my message. Peace to all. May God bless you all. God bless America.